Part 22. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 211. Chapter 211 Family Pride. Speaking of these twin brothers, they are not only the two most outstanding looking of all Xia Ying's cousins, but also the two best. They can be said to be the pride of their family. Chu Shengming, a super genius with a very high IQ and a very low profile. He never appears in the public eye and just quietly does his scientific research. The only thing the people of country S knew was that Chu Shengming was Chu Shenxiu's twin brother. He has never taken second place since he was in school. He will be first in any subject competition as long as he participates in it. Not only that, he also holds a number of patented inventions. And his hobby is to invent new things. By the way, although he is only 20 years old, he has now graduated from college. He skipped grades all the way, completed his studies ahead of schedule, and finally graduated with a perfect score record for his top university that almost no one can break. Chu Shenxiu, the only young killer who has surpassed the popular young killer without even debuting in terms of traffic and popularity, has become famous in country S. In addition, like Xia Ying, he is also a musical genius. His musical talent is actually above Xia Ying. However, Chu Shenxiu was born tone deaf. In his words, he just composed music for fun, and then accidentally played a World Gold Award. Xia Ying didn't have much interaction with these two people in her previous life, but occasionally heard Luo Xin talk about them. Because he is my aunt's cousin, I don't see him very often. In fact, the most important point is that Xia Ying has been avoiding them because she was bullied by Chu Shenxiu in her childhood. Mom, can I skip the birthday party? Xia Ying is still struggling to her death. Luo Xin didn't say anything, just gave Xia Ying a look to understand. Okay, that's impossible. As country attaches great importance to girls' 16th and 18th birthdays. One is when they are in their 20s and the other is when they are adults. They are the two most beautiful ages. Therefore, Xia Ying probably won't be able to escape this time. In the last life, all the elders from the Luo family came over. This life is definitely no exception, but Xia Ying can't figure out why the Chu brothers came to join in the fun in this life. Xia Ying sighed. She really had no intention of continuing to practice the piano, so she just took a break to reward herself. Xia Ying was lying on the sofa playing with her mobile phone. Ye Xiaoxun's novel has been released. It has only more than 10,000 words, so it has not caused any sensation yet. However, some readers who were lucky enough to see it left many lovely comments such as saying they liked it and supporting the author. Xia Ying clicked in and took a look. Alas, why is it that Ye Xiaoxun, a high school student, has such a high literary talent? This writing, this rhetoric, these sentences are simply breathtaking. Xia Ying suddenly discovered that Ye Xiaoxun's contract status had changed, showing that the contract had been signed. Xia Ying was surprised, and then quickly sent a message to Ye Xiaoxun. Xiaoxun, has your book been signed? Ye Xiaoxun replied to Xia Ying, yeah, I signed the contract with the ID card of a good friend of mine. It just so happens that her ID card is 1 year older than me, so the ID card is an adult. Ye Xiaoxun and her parents tried hard to persuade them to agree to the contract, so she had to go behind their backs and use her good friend's ID card to sign the contract. Xia Ying frowned and then wrote, is that friend reliable? What should I do if my ID card is stolen in the future? There is a reason why Xia Ying said this. Ye Xiaoxun's writing in the previous life got worse and worse. Could it be because his ID card was stolen? After all, using someone else's ID card to sign a contract is somewhat disadvantageous. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 212. Chapter 212 Kneel down and beg the thornbird to sing. No need, she is my best friend. Ye Xiaoxun added a smiley face. Xia Ying pursed her lips. After experiencing so many things, the word friend became more and more subtle for Xia Ying. Didn't she think Xia Menjian was her best friend in her last life? But what happened? Maybe I'm overthinking it, but you'd better be careful, change your ID card as soon as you become an adult, and don't reveal too much privacy to your friends. Something like an account password. Know it? Ye Xiaoxun returned quickly. Xia Ying returned to the chat interface. In any case, she would never let the disaster that happened to Ye Xiaoxun happen in her previous life. Although there are many originally very talented authors who later become worse and worse in writing, they also start to embark on the path of plagiarism driven by profit. Ye Xiaoxun may have gradually changed his original intention in his last life, which led to his subsequent demise. But no matter what the reason was, as long as Xia Ying was around, she would definitely help Ye Xiaoxun. Xia Ying checked her WeChat moments again, and happened to come across a post from Muni Ankai. This lady is just as beautiful as a flower, it's the 100th day since the goddess released a new song, I miss her. The accompanying picture is a screenshot of a hot search on Weibo and a picture of Muni Ankai practicing the piano from behind. Xia Ying clicked on the picture. It didn't matter if she didn't look at it. She was shocked when she saw it. No one on Weibo's hot search list, begging Thornbird to release a new song. Xia Ying was stunned for a long time. Since the scandal with Jun Chennai disappeared, she has stopped using Weibo. So she didn't know anything about the hot topics on Weibo. If she hadn't seen Muni Ankai's updates, she wouldn't have known that the topic asking her to post a new song on Weibo had actually topped the hot search list. Xia Ying was so frightened that she immediately downloaded a Weibo account and opened it to see what she saw. The super topic hashtag Thornbird to post a new song hashtag has accumulated hundreds of millions of views and has hundreds of thousands of fans following it. And Xia Ying's private messages are about to explode, all of them crying and asking her to release a new song. Xia Ying read the content of the super topic and probably knew what was going on. Since the release of Xia Ying's song Tomi Love, Xia Ying has not released a song for a total of 100 days, and there has been no news on Weibo recently. Firstly, fans miss her, and secondly, the recent new songs are really hard to describe. Many people are complaining, saying that the country's music scene is declining and there are not many high-quality singers left. Then, fans of Thornbirds began to recommend their idols, and just like that, Xia Ying's song became popular again, and a super topic was born. Vulu of Thornbird Goddess, please sing. Let those people hear what real music is. How should a real singer sing? Xiaomiran's die-hard fan, kneel down and beg the Thornbird to sing. I haven't heard your voice for a long time, crying. Support the Thornbirds for life, my favorite female singer. What have you been doing recently? Weibo hasn't been updated for a long time. Eloquently, my Mr. June hasn't released a song for a long time. I would like to silently recommend my Mr. Jun's Glass Ball and Left to Right. Sister is so unsatisfied and holding it back, favorite male singer, Jun Chennai, favorite female singer, Thornbird. Some people say that I, Mr. June, are the cutest, yes. What I said above is right, I fell in love with him because of young Master Jun's looks and because of his songs. It is said that all the good-looking little cuties voted for Xiaoa, Omega carat. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 213. Chapter 213 You still owe me a meal. Xia Ying raised her eyebrows and felt helpless. She had no plans to release any songs this year, her current focus was on the competition, and she had no time to spend time and energy writing songs. Xia Ying posted an update on Thornbird's Weibo. Well, I'll just come up and make a bubble, Thank you everyone for your likes, but there should be no new songs this year. Let's meet again next year and kiss. Xia Ying's Weibo post didn't take long, and there were a lot of comments underneath it. My heart hurts so much, please tell me this is not true. Goddess, why are you like this? To post such a Weibo post, the Lun family's little expectations are gone, and they cry and cry. Today is April Fool's Day, April Fool's Day, wow, it's not, crying. The song of the goddess must be a sincere work that has been prepared for a long time. How can I be like those people who casually post something and call it music to perfunctory people? Come and see how dedicated and professional my goddess is. Xia Ying silently logged out of Weibo. Alas, that's it? Then, the next minute, Xia Ying saw Mu Niankai's updates in the circle of friends. The goddess won't release any songs this year, I'm so sad, I'm not even in the mood to prepare for the competition. The accompanying picture is a selfie lying on the piano. Xia Ying is ashamed, this is definitely a speed that requires special attention. By the way, Mu Niankai also participated in that competition. Mu Niankai plans to perform piano in the musical instrument competition, so she has been practicing piano hard recently. Xia Ying plans to perform the guhan, which is the instrument Xia Ying has learned the longest and is what she is best at. At this time, Xia Ying's cell phone lit up, calling herself Rong Ci. Little cutie, do you plan to refuse the meal you owe me? Xia Ying was shocked. By the way, she seemed to still owe Rong Ci a meal. Xia Ying curled her lips and replied, have I not been waiting for you to be free? She had mentioned it before, but Rong Ci had always declined on the excuse of being busy. Although Xia Ying didn't know what he was busy with, it was normal for an agent to be busy for such a mysterious existence, so Xia Ying didn't think much about it. Now, I'm free now. At 1 o'clock at noon, let's have a meal together at White Bear Restaurant. Good. Xia Ying replied to him. Xia Ying then practiced the guhan for a while, then took a break before packing up and heading out. When Xia Ying arrived, Rong Ci arrived in advance in a gentlemanly manner. Xia Ying hasn't seen Rong Ci for a while, but he hasn't changed at all. He is still a person who always puts a smile on his lips. Xia Ying sat down and looked at the menu with her head down. She rarely came to this restaurant and didn't know what kind of dishes it had, so she planned to do some research first. Rong Kai had a smile in his eyes. He held his head with both hands and stared at Xia Ying with his obsidian eyes shining like treasures. After looking at him for a while, he still didn't look away. Xia Ying had no choice but to raise her head and meet his gaze. Why do you keep staring at me? Because you're pretty and delicious, little cutie. Xia Ying. Why is this conversation so inexplicably familiar? Xia Ying put down the menu, handed it to Rong Ci, and interrupted, since I'm inviting you to dinner, you can order it yourself. I'm not familiar with this restaurant, and I don't know your taste either. Rong Ci waved her hand and refused, I will eat whatever the little cutie likes to eat. Rong Ci. Xia Ying frowned and called him. Rong Ci smiled warmly. Made a small modification, the Chu brothers are the children of Aunt Xia Ying. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 214. Chapter 214. Didn't you realize that I like you? Why are you so greasy? Although Xia Ying has a bit of a venomous tongue, she speaks from the bottom of her heart. To be honest, she felt very uncomfortable every time she was with Rong Ci. She always felt like there were eyes staring at her and her every move was being monitored. Rong Ci's eyes instantly dimmed, and he clutched his chest and said, I'm so sad when you say that. Xia Ying held her forehead helplessly. Could it be that? Rong Ci suddenly smiled sinisterly, stared at Xia Ying, and said word by word, didn't you realize that I like you? Xia Ying was startled when she heard this, and quickly drank some water to calm down her shock. Rong Si saw that Xia Ying's ears were turning red, and she chuckled like a child who had succeeded in a prank. "Ha ha, my dear, you are blushing." Xia Ying lowered her head and ignored him, taking out her cell phone to distract herself. Rong Si smiled and started to order. At this moment, Xia Ying's cell phone rang. "The annoying and arrogant young master, did Rong Si come to find you?" Xia Ying glanced at Rong Si and then replied to him. Jun Chenai on the other end of the phone saw the content of the message, immediately jumped up with a dark face, and hurried out of the door. Jian Lila couldn't hold him back and kept shouting at him, "Little ancestor, there is another commercial to be shot later." Jun Chenai was driving, his face seemed to be covered with a layer of frost, and it was freezing cold. After the food arrived, Xia Ying ate the food silently, while Rong Si kept playing with her phone with her head down, without moving her chopsticks. Xia Ying didn't ask him what he was doing, and no one spoke. The atmosphere felt extremely awkward. However, Xia Ying always had a vague feeling that it was definitely not easy for Rong Si to ask her out without eating, at least not as simple as just having a meal. Rong Si looked up when he saw Jun Chenai's face that was a few degrees below zero at the door walking toward him in a hurry. Suddenly he raised his lips and smiled, then stood up and walked towards Jun Chenai. Xia Ying was confused and looked back, only to see Rong Si pulling Jun Chenai aside. The two of them didn't know what they were talking about. Xia Ying put down her chopsticks and sat down uncomfortably. What on earth was Rong Si doing? "What are you doing?" Jun Chenai gritted his teeth and said, "Didn't I tell you not to have any ideas about her?" Rong Si looked at Jun Chenai's face. Because of the eyeliner, his eyes were so alluring, swallowing everyone's gaze like a bottomless black hole, making people unable to look away. Jun Chenai was just preparing to shoot an advertisement, wearing a burgundy suit. Unexpectedly, Jun Chenai looked very good in red. It is indeed a natural clothes hanger, even if it is draped with a piece of rag, it still has a different charm. Jun Chenai came here in a hurry and forgot to wear a mask along the way, so he attracted the eyes of countless girls in amazement. Fortunately, Rong Si ordered a private room, so there was no interference from outsiders. Rong Si couldn't laugh or cry, "Why don't you have any brains at all? If I really wanted to have her idea, how could I let you know about it?" Jun Chenai's eyes darkened and he had nothing to say. That's right, Rong Si also came to the White Bear restaurant, a restaurant under their Jun family's name. If you really want to pry him into a corner, he's really not that stupid. Rong Si smiled lightly and continued, "Xia Ying's birthday is tomorrow, so today is your best chance." Jun Chenai was confused, "What are you talking about?" Rong Si pinched his eyebrows, feeling helpless. With his emotional intelligence, he basically said goodbye to his girlfriend. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 215. Chapter 215. Xia Ying, I like you. I say, young Master Jun, hurry up and confess your love, Rong Si said helplessly, don't tell me that you don't know what Xia Ying has been doing recently. Jun Chenai swallowed silently and avoided Rong Si's gaze. Jun Chenai's series of small actions had already explained everything. He indeed knew nothing. Rong Si vomited blood. Xia Ying is about to participate in the San Diego music competition, and her birthday is tomorrow. Her relatives from country S will come to celebrate her birthday. Since she is here, she will definitely stay for a while, so you will basically have no chance to contact her after the birthday party. Only today is your only chance. Rong Si finished speaking in one breath. Jun Chenai looked in the direction of Xia Ying, but suddenly panicked inside. To be honest, he had never thought about such an unexpected confession. Moreover, he was not sure whether Xia Ying would accept him. Rong Si then handed Jun Chennai a mobile phone. Now, your uncle, I've prepared everything for you. As long as you make this call, there will be fireworks outside. As long as you cough twice, romantic music will sound. This is the ring. The rest is up to you. By the way, if the confession is successful, the bund will be very lively. Let's enjoy the world together. Jun Chennai was dumbfounded the whole time. Why did he feel that Rong Si was like someone who had an arranged marriage? Don't thank me, call me Rong Si said, stretching. Oh my God, it's really an evil thing your brother-in-law and I, who have been single for 10,000 years, actually worry about your troubles. Jun Chennai curled his lips. You are indeed single for 10,000 years. Jun Chennai remembered that Rong Si was almost 20 years old this year. In his memory, he seemed to have never been in love. Rong Si immediately glared at Jun Chennai. Is it too late to regret now, white-eyed wolf? No, 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 it's coming. Jun Chennai smiled, and then took the ring from Rong Si's hand. Jun Chennai opened it silently and took a look. Oh, when did Rong Si become so generous? Actually bought a pigeon egg? What happened that made Jun Chennai suddenly feel moved by the plastic affection between them? Jun Chennai sat opposite Xia Ying, trying to keep his facial expression as calm as possible. But his palms were still sweating, and it had to be said that he was nervous. She was so nervous that even looking at Xia Ying would make her heart beat faster involuntarily. Xia Ying looked back, then looked at Jun Chennai, puzzled. Where is Rong Si? He has something to do and has gone back. Jun Chennai said. Xia Ying looked at Jun Chennai suspiciously. He went back. He asked her to invite him to dinner, but he left without eating a bite? What kind of logic is this? Xia Ying stared at Jun Chennai again. There was definitely something wrong with these two people. What do you want to do? It's weird. Xia Ying stared at Jun Chennai warily and asked. Ahem. Jun Chennai coughed twice in inexplicable embarrassment. At this time, Rong Si, who was hiding in the corner, had his face turned black to charcoal. This guy is usually arrogant and domineering, but how come he still gives up at the critical moment? I really want to rush over and throw him over my shoulder. Xia Ying felt something was wrong and stood up to leave. In panic, Jun Chennai quickly made the so-called phone call. So, the moment Xia Ying stood up, fireworks were suddenly set off outside. Xia Ying heard the sound and looked out the window. The sky above the brightly lit bund was instantly covered by colorful and beautiful fireworks. Xia Ying lay looking out the window in amazement, and then she saw a row of words flashing in the night sky from the fireworks. Xia Ying, I like you. Yu Lingfeng still has 3 seconds to reach the battlefield. Recommended votes. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 216. Chapter 216 She is Mine. Xia Ying's eyes widened in surprise. Who can tell her what's going on? Before Xia Ying could react, a line of words appeared in the night sky. Xia Ying, please be my girlfriend. Xia Ying swallowed silently, then turned her head and met Jun Chennai's eyes. Jun Chennai's face was red and bleeding, his lips moved, and it took him a long time to hold back a sentence. Xia Ying, I like you, please be my girlfriend. Jun Chennai straightened his back, looking slightly stiff, trying his best to cover up his current nervousness. Damn it, isn't it just a confession? Why is he so unsure? Yeah, why are you so unsure? It's not because of that Yu Lingfeng who has been hanging around Xia Ying. Because of him, Jun Chennai doubted his own charm for the first time. Jun Chennai once told Xia Ying that no girl would reject him Jun Chennai until he met Yu Lingfeng, a man who was as handsome and dazzling as a god. Jun Chennai suddenly felt that if anyone would reject him, it would only be Xia Ying, and it would only be because of Yu Lingfeng. Xia Ying frowned and stared at Jun Chennai with suspicion. Jun Chennai's embarrassed look didn't look like he was pretending, nor did it look like a prank. But, who can tell her what is going on? Hasn't this guy Jun Chennai always disliked her so much? Confessed to her suddenly? Did he forget what he said to her? Didn't he agree not to have any ideas about him? As a result, she was obsessed with him. Xia Ying was confused by her own logic. Jun Chennai saw that Xia Ying was stunned for a long time without saying anything, so he was about to take the opportunity to take out the diamond ring and propose marriage in one go. Unexpectedly, his hand had just touched the small red box. A dark figure arrived quickly, and the surrounding air instantly became several degrees colder. Before Jun Chennai could see who it was, Xia Ying was already dragged to his side. Xia Ying was stunned, and Jun Chennai was also stunned. Yu Lingfeng's pair of deep eyes were as cold as ice pools at the moment, his thin lips pursed lightly, and there was no expression on his face, but even so, it was intimidating. Yu Lingfeng stared straight at Jun Chennai across from him. Being stared at like this, Jun Chennai suddenly felt that his whole body was wrapped in a layer of frost, and he almost couldn't help but shiver. Yu Lingfeng, why are you here? Xia Ying raised her head and looked at Yu Lingfeng's cold profile in surprise. Yu Lingfeng held Xia Ying's hand and interlocked their fingers. Jun Chennai's eyes widened when he saw Yu Lingfeng's action. Xia Ying frowned in confusion. Yu Lingfeng held Xia Ying's hand, and said in an oath-like tone that could not be explained, "She is mine." Xia Ying's eyes widened, and then she looked at Jun Chennai. Facing this scene, Jun Chennai was a little at a loss. He didn't expect such a thing to happen. Although Xia Ying hadn't expressed her position yet, wasn't the current situation already obvious? Even though Yu Lingfeng is not Xia Ying's boyfriend, she didn't refute what Yu Lingfeng just said, right? Jun Chennai knew that his confession this time had failed. At this moment, Rong Si, who was hiding in the corner, was holding his chin and half squinting his eyes, thinking about a question. Yu Lingfeng, why did you come to this place suddenly? Yu Lingfeng, fortunately, it's not a big problem. My wife didn't run away. Jun Chennai. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 217. Chapter 217 He must chase Xia Ying. Rong Si was still thinking about Yu Lingfeng's sudden appearance, but Yu Lingfeng had already led Xia Ying away. And his poor nephew was sitting on the sofa with a dejected look on his face ashen as death. Rong Si sighed helplessly and walked towards Jun Chennai. Rong Si walked to sit across from Jun Chennai, knocked on the table with his hand, and said to Jun Chennai, "Hey, nephew, are you okay? Failure is the mother of success. Keep up the hard work." Jun Chennai had a depressed face and looked up at Rong Si, who was full of smiles. "Find Cheng Cheng's father for me first before you say this." Rong Si was speechless for a moment. "Why don't you have the brains to take the exam?" Jun Chennai's face was full of laughter. "You think I'm not uncomfortable enough now, right? You have to use his final exam score to humiliate him. He will work hard. Will he make progress? At least, he improved by 1 point and scored 68. This shows that his efforts were not in vain, but his efforts lasted longer than ordinary people." Rong Si curled his lips and said, okay, you're a man, don't be hit so easily." Rong Si patted Jun Chennai on the shoulder and comforted him. "But, the little cutie and Yu Lingfeng are together." Jun Chennai's face darkened. "You are not allowed to call her that." Rong Si was amused by Jun Chennai's serious look. Okay, it's up to you." Jun Chenai recalled that when Yu Lingfeng said that Xia Ying was him, Xia Ying's slightly surprised expression probably meant that they were not together yet. Therefore, this means that there is still hope for him. He couldn't give up, he must chase Xia Ying. Xia Ying is so good, he must study hard and get closer to her. Rong Si saw that Jun Chenai was immersed in his own thoughts. The expression on his face changed over and over again like a revolving lantern, and finally settled on a passionate expression. Is he getting over his feelings so fast? I want to go home. Jun Chenai slapped the table, with a very determined expression on his face, as if he had made some important decision. Rong Si frowned and asked, "What do you want to do?" "Of course I will keep up my efforts." When Liu Bei invited Zhujiang, he even looked at the thatched cottage. "I just looked at it once. I will continue to work hard. When I am good enough, I will confess to that stupid woman." Jun Chenai then looked at the window, where a handsome and determined face was reflected. Rong Si smiled and remained silent. This young master is no worse than that Yu Lingfeng. Xia Ying will be mine sooner or later. Rong Si crossed his arms and said with a half smile, "Girls aged 16 or 17 have the simplest minds and can be easily dealt with. You are in such good condition, just put more thought into it. By the way, my birthday is tomorrow. What are you going to give?" Jun Chenai smiled proudly. "Then you have to say that the gift from this young master is naturally the most unique and thoughtful. For example." Rong Si raised his eyebrows. Judging from his experience that the gifts Jun Chenai gave him every birthday were thrown into the trash can one by one, he couldn't think of anything special that this nephew with low emotional intelligence could give Xia Ying. Birthday gift. You'll know tomorrow. Jun Chenai gave up. He said helplessly, "Are you sure you don't need to ask me to endure it again?" He is so worried. No need. Jun Chenai's attitude was firm. "I have been revising the article recently, and I will update it in a few days. I accept all the opinions from the cuties, but there is only one request: please don't spray author bugs, and forgive Xiao for being a glass-hearted person. T. I know my writing is not good, but I will try my best. QWQ." End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 218. Chapter 218. I really want to steal Xiao Ying home. Yu Lingfeng. Xia Ying tugged on Yu Lingfeng's sleeves. Yu Lingfeng's face was as cold as a cold pool, and the surrounding air also instantly became cold. Although she didn't seem to have done anything, Yu Lingfeng always gave her the feeling of being caught and raped. Especially now, Yu Lingfeng still has such an unhappy expression, which makes Xia Ying feel a little guilty inexplicably. Yu Lingfeng paused and looked sideways at Xia Ying. The streets were brightly lit with colorful lights. Xia Ying stood under the night sky, her eyes more dazzling than the stars. "How did you know I was here?" Xia Ying asked in a low voice. Yu Lingfeng frowned. He originally planned to come over to find her, but unexpectedly, he saw fireworks on the way, and he also confessed to Xia Ying. Yu Lingfeng's anger reached its peak instantly. He didn't know why. It was probably an intuition. He felt that this matter was related to Jun Chenai, so he searched around the bund as quickly as possible. In the last life, he didn't hold her, and in this life, he will not let go no matter what. No one could take her away from him. "I'll walk you home." Yu Lingfeng did not answer Xia Ying's question, but changed the topic expressionlessly. Xia Ying did not ask any more questions, because at this time, 11 Ju drove towards them in a car. "Master, Sakura." Ju stuck his head out and waved to them. 11 Ju always seems to be so energetic and carefree. Yu Lingfeng sent Xia Ying home, and Yu Lingfeng was about to turn around and leave. Xia Ying stopped him. "Yu Lingfeng, my birthday is tomorrow, will you come?" Xia Ying asked cautiously. Yu Lingfeng paused, and Xia Ying continued, in the Bright Pearl. Brilliant Pearl, the most upscale hotel in City A, is also a property owned by the Xia family. Yu Lingfen nodded and left. Sakura, see you tomorrow. 11 Ju waved to Xia Ying with a sweet smile. See you tomorrow. Zihu and Yu Lingfen got into the car. While driving, Zihu asked Yu Lingfen, Master, what gift are you going to give to Xia Ying? Yu Lingfen looked at the busy traffic outside the car window with a sullen face. His expression was complicated and he did not answer 11 Ju's question. When Xia Ying returned home, she was immediately surrounded by a group of 7 ants and 8 ants who came in a dark crowd. Xia Ying opened her eyes in horror, like a frightened little white rabbit, looking helplessly and fearfully at the group of big bad wolves around her. Oh, our little Yingying has become more and more beautiful after not seeing each other for several years. How can she be so cute? Oh, your soft cheeks are so cute. You 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 you. Xia Ying was so ravaged by a group of relatives around her that she was on the point of crying. Mom, Mother, where are you? Luo Xian stood helplessly on the sidelines with nothing to do. She knew this would be the case. Every time Xia Ying is seen by her relatives, she will be ravaged one by one like a doll. As the only granddaughter in her grandfather's family, Xia Ying has been supported by everyone since she was a child. However, Xia Ying is probably the only one who knows the pain involved. Get out of the way, I don't even look at my granddaughter. At this time, an old voice spoke up, and the crowd dispersed immediately. Thanks to the little cutie Mo Shang Xi and Sang I for the reward. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 219. Chapter 219 I'm reluctant to let you grow up. At this time, an old man who was about 60 or 70 years old walked towards Xia Ying. Although he is older, the old man's body is still strong and he walks with strong steps. The years have not diminished any of his heroic spirit. Looking through that face, one can still glimpse the splendor of his youth. Moreover, the old man's eyes were sparkling, and he did not look like an old man in his late teens. Xia Ying was hugged by her grandpa. Grandpa smiled cheerfully, caressed Xia Ying's back, and said with a smile, our little Yingying will be 16 soon. Time flies so fast. I can't bear to see you grow up, it's big. Grandpa has a precious granddaughter like Xia Ying. He has no idea what he will do if Xia Ying gets married and has a bunch of rough and tumble grandsons. I also want to hold Xia Yingying. Grandma also ran over from the sofa, so Xia Ying was sandwiched between the two old people like a sandwich biscuit. She had difficulty breathing but could not speak out, ahem. Xia Ying winked at Luo Xian with a mournful face. Luo Xian couldn't stand it any longer, and finally had to say to her grandparents in embarrassment, okay, parents, just let Xia Ying have a good rest. I must be tired after coming back from outside. Upon hearing this, Grandma quickly let go of Xia Ying. He stroked Xia Ying's head distressedly and said, oh, I almost forgot about this. My eldest baby, little Yingying, hurry up and take a rest. Thank you, Grandma. Xia Ying smiled awkwardly, and then sat on the sofa with her grandma. Grandma kept chatting with Xia Ying about home affairs. Xia Ying answered obediently. Xia Ying suddenly looked around and found that all her relatives were staring at her like wolves and tigers, especially her aunt. She looked at Xia Ying as if she were a rare treasure. It seemed that the next second, she was going to steal Xia Ying away and hide it in her locker, and no one was allowed to see it. Xia Ying swallowed silently. The aunt stared at Xia Ying and asked with a motherly look, Xia Yingying. I haven't seen my aunt in so many years. Do you miss your aunt? Xia Ying smiled faintly and replied, yes. Hearing the satisfactory answer, my aunt smiled happily, then turned her head and said to Luo Xian beside her, sister, I found that after so many years, I still want to trade my two brats for your little Yingying. Xia Ying's face turned dark. Why is her aunt still struggling with this issue? Luo Xian smiled and shook her head helplessly, 23 years old, you are very promising. Everyone is envious of you. Well, you don't even know how much I envy you. After aunt finished speaking, she looked at Xia Ying with a motherly smile. Xia Ying was pestered by her relatives and asked many questions, and after chatting for a while, Grandpa suddenly said, where is Chuanhai? Why haven't you come back yet? Hearing this question, Xia Ying and Luo Xian looked at each other. Luo Xian smiled and said, Chuanhai went on a business trip and will be back tomorrow. Oh, that's right. Grandpa didn't think much after hearing this. After all, Xia Chuanhai's career is getting bigger and bigger now, and it's normal to be busy. Luo Xian then changed the subject and said to her aunt, where are 12 and 13? They were there just now, why did they suddenly disappear? Sakura hasn't seen them for a long time. Hearing what Luo Xian said, Xia Ying lowered her head silently. It seemed that Chu Shengming and Chu Shenxiu had come over. Thanks to the little cutie. Luoxiu, foam melting in summer, and Xiaoyu book friends 148939084653092214 for their rewards. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 220. Chapter 220 Cousin Turtle Dove. Auntie smiled, 13 loves to play, so she took 12 to play games at the internet bar with him. She should be back soon, I'll call to remind her. Before my aunt took out her cell phone, a clear male voice rang, I'm back. Everyone heard the news and went out, only to see two tall and handsome young men standing at the door. The young man standing on the left has light brown hair, a fair face, deep eyes, a high bridge of nose, thin lips, and looks at everyone with a clear smile. The young man on the right has a head of flamboyant silver hair. Wearing a flamboyant earring on his left ear, the young man smiled faintly and looked at Chen Fei with a pair of charming peach blossom eyes. Even though Chu Shengming and Chu Shenxiu were twins with very similar facial features, Xia Ying could still recognize them at a glance. The boy on the left with a smile as gentle as a catkin must be Chu Shengming. The one on the right who raised his head slightly and looked at her with a half-smile must be Chu Shenxiu. Xia Ying has not seen Chu Shenxiu and Chu Shengming for several years. In his memory, he only knows that they are two evil-looking cousins. Xia Ying's cousins are all handsome, and these two twin brothers are the two most outstanding looking among all the cousins. If one of them can make the girls scream, then when two of them appear in front of everyone at the same time, the girls will probably cry with joy. Chu Shengming glanced at Xia Ying, raised the corners of his mouth slightly, and showed a faint smile. Chu Shenxiu's eyes fell on Xia Ying, and their eyes lit up immediately. Wow, cousin Sakura is 100 times cuter in person than in the photo. Be calm, he needs to be calm. Chu Shenxiu's heart was filled with turmoil, but there was no strange color on his face. 23, I just talked about you, and you are back. This is your cousin Xiao Ying, do you remember? Come over and get to know each other. Auntie enthusiastically greeted Chu Shengming and Chu Shenxiu. Wave. The two of them walked towards the crowd. Chu Shengming nodded to Xia Ying and said with a smile, hello, cousin Xiao Ying, I am your 12th cousin. Hello, 12th cousin Xia Ying responded to Chu Shengming with a smile. Ha, slug, do you remember me, I am your 13th cousin. When Chu Shenxiu said this, his eyes were always on Xia Ying. The corners of Xia Ying's smiling mouth immediately drooped. Xia Ying rolled her eyes at Chu Shenxiu and said angrily, oh, it turns out to be cousin Big Turtle Dove. Xia Ying was often beaten to tears by Chu Shenxiu when she was a child. Then the young Xia Ying cried until she had a lot of snot and tears, so Chu Sensio called her a slug every time. And Big Turtle Dove is Xia Ying's nickname for revenge. Because Chu Sensio, the Big Turtle Dove, rhymes very much. In the past, whenever Chu Sensio hit Xia Ying would cry and curse, "Chu Sensio, you big turtle dove. When I grow up, I will definitely push you to the ground and beat you hard beat." Every time at this time, Chu Sensio would hold his belly and laugh. Then not long after he laughed, his aunt would run over with a feather duster and chase Chu Sensio all over the house. When she saw this scene, Xia Ying would immediately burst into laughter. Xia Ying originally didn't remember some things from her childhood very clearly, but as soon as she saw Chu Sensio, Xia Ying's tragic memories immediately came to mind. Xia Ying would never have imagined that the demon who bullied her when she was a child would later become a girl troll. Chu Sensio's third company, 1. Everything Cousin Sakura said is right. 2. Cousin Sakura did everything right. 3. No one is worthy of Cousin Sakura. Thanks to the little cutie Xia Mo Ranaying for the reward. End of this chapter.